into this space of healing with Harretta. I ask that you just sit back, unwind, drop those shoulders, and allow me to speak to your heart, your soul, your mind, body, and spirit. Let's enjoy this ride. Hello. Welcome back. I'd like to thank you for listening. I truly appreciate it. I've gotten so much great feedback thus far related to this podcast, and who would have thunk the fact that I did it on a whim, just because Spirit told me to, girl, push the record button and just get this done. And I must admit, I've been enjoying every moment of it. Like, I actually look forward to recording. And shout out to two of my clients who last week told me that they listened. And I was like, oh my God, did you? Okay, tell me what you think. Because honestly, I have not advertised on any of my social media platforms that, hey, by the way, I started a podcast. So the fact that it was like, yeah, I heard your podcast and I really enjoyed it, and gave me feedback like, yeah, I would suggest you get a mic. And I was like, yeah, about that. The upcoming ones will definitely have a mic, because when I tell you, Spirit just was like, push that record button, that's what happened. So I had to do what I had to do. I wasn't concerned about the audio, but hopefully it will still continue to get better as I move forward. And that's what I've learned most along the spiritual journey, is that if I just take one step, it'll come along some way, somehow. It'll come along. All right. Oh, and by the way, thank you to those two clients who was like, oh my God, I was so excited, and I would love to come on and talk about how much you helped me. And I was just like, what? You would? Thank you. So in a couple upcoming episodes, I will have some of my clientele talk about their journey and how I've helped them along the way. And it is an absolute joy, because I see the before and afters before my eyes. Like, they come in one way, and if I continuously work with them over a year's time, child, they a whole different person. And it just truly brings joy to what I do, because that was my main reason of getting into nursing as well as getting into holistic healing, is because I want to help others heal, evolve, and grow. Yeah. All right, so last time I left you, I told you about me meeting a lady who had a yoga practice and offered me a free Reiki session if I won in the drawing. And I won. And I had that session, and I no longer had insomnia. Like, what the hell? So first of all, you might be asking, what is Reiki? So let me break it down to you, because I didn't know when I first started on my journey what Reiki was. But yeah, it just kept showing up in my life. And Reiki is a Japanese technique that promotes physical, emotional, mental, as well as spiritual healing. So if we want to break down the word Reiki, which is spelled Reiki, and some people call it Reiki, whatever suits your soul, that's what you call it. But if you want to break down the word Reiki, Rei means spiritual / supernatural. And ki means energy. So Reiki is the energy that's flowing through every living thing, from human beings to animals to trees to the air to the ether. It's Reiki, it's supernatural. We can't see it with the visible eye, but it's there, right? Okay. So Reiki is administered by the quote unquote laying of hands. Or sometimes you don't even have to lay a hand. It's just being in someone's auric field. And it's based on the idea that this universal, supernatural, spiritual energy is a life force energy that flows through us. And if you're setting the intention to bring about healing for one, it'll happen. Now, when someone's energy is low, they may be feeling sick or stressed, and they might feel the need to have a Reiki healing. But when your energy is high, you're more capable of having optimal health and happiness. So Reiki is beneficial on so many levels. It reduces stress, provides relaxation. For me, it brought about peace. And that is why I named my business Peace Within 111. Because I can't explain it except that it just brought a certain level of peace within my mind and my body and my spirit. And I was just like, wow, I have to share this with others. And the 111 came about because I would say probably in the year of I want to say about 2011. Yeah, 2011, 2012, something around there. I started seeing 111 and 1111 everywhere I went. And it was like, what is going on? To the point where I really thought I was losing my mind. Like, I would tell my family and friends, like, are you seeing 111? They're like, no, Retta, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay. And I just kept it to myself, and I would note it. I would look it up. One meant new beginnings, and I'm like, okay, all right. And then online it would say it was way more information about angel numbers now compared to back then. But at the time, I was just like, it's like 111 means new beginnings. Whenever you see the number, it's your angels or guides trying to get in contact with you, make a wish. And I'm like, okay, okay. But it was happening so frequently for me. And I must say, it was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. But within that, it was to the point where when I was with family or friends and I was seeing 111, I would like shake them and like, look, do you see it? Do you see the time? Okay, okay. Make sure you see the time. The 111 was showing up on receipts. It was showing up on the clock. It was showing up on license plates, anywhere, everywhere. It was like 111, 111, 111. So anyway, that is how my business, Peace Within 111, got its name. But let's get back into this story of how Reiki entered my life for the second time and changed everything. So, like I said, I won the session. I had a session. I no longer had insomnia. And I was like, well, maybe it's me because I'm so open. Let me offer my friend a session. So, my friend, who's been dear to me since we were in middle school, unfortunately got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and she was experiencing a lot of pain. And I was like, I wonder if this Reiki will help alleviate some of her symptoms. So I went ahead and paid for her session. I said, friend, would you be open to it? She was like, yeah, I'm open. So I paid for her session. And afterwards, she was like, friend, I must admit, I'm feeling a little better. I can't explain it, but I feel a little better. I'm like, okay, well, if anything, I'm going to learn this for you. So I did some research about Reiki and how to learn it, how to go about, performing it or being a conduit. Because that's what I say. I'm just a conduit of the divine, plain and simple. Again, Reiki is just supernatural energy, spiritual. So I was like, okay, I have to find out how to go about this. So a lot of people online was discussing that it is so important to find a Reiki master that you connect with. And that's true because you are allowing someone to come into your energetic field and influence it to a certain degree. Even if it's just a form of healing, it's intimate. energy healing and body work is intimate. That's why I never take for granted when people come to me. I am truly honored each and every time. So, anyway, I searched weeks for a Reiki master who I felt would have my best interests at heart and also who I could develop a connection with over time. And I reached out to several. Some replied back, some didn't. But there was one who immediately I was like, this is it. So it was a lady who was based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And we exchanged several emails regarding the Reiki class and what I could expect. So I went ahead and signed up for the Reiki class the spring of, I want to say 2012. Yeah, 2012. I signed up for this Reiki class. And I remember going to her home, and this lady was 75 years old, okay? But she looked over a decade younger. I just couldn't believe my eyes. I'm like, you 75? I mean, up, mobile, moving, looking good. And I was like, you 75? She's like, yes. And I must admit, a lot of my mentors are older than me, like in their 60s and 70s, and they look great. It's this energy, y'all. I'm just saying. Like, I'm of a certain age, but I often get, I often get mistaken for younger when I tell people, like, I've been in nursing for 20 years. They're like, how, where, when? What? You started nursing school at 16? I'd be like, thank you. Y'all know a lady loves to look younger than what she really is. Anyway, back to the story. So, when I met her, I was like, wow, she looks young. She looks good. This Reiki is keeping her thriving. I need parts. So, the class took place in her living room. It was maybe, I want to say, 7 or 8 women of different walks of life. So we went around the room and talked about, what brought us into the interest of wanting to learn Reiki. And then we all were able to have a Reiki attunement. And when I say attunement, it's just being aligned with the healing energy and following the steps of the Japanese technique that my lineage of Reiki is Usui Reiki, and we just followed the techniques and the symbols associated with Usui Reiki as the Reiki master gave us a attunement just to align our mind, body, and spirits with the Reiki flowing energy. I want to say any and everybody has this supernatural energy flowing through them. When someone has an injury and we kiss it, it's the intention behind that kiss for it to be healed. Same with laying of hands. You don't have to have Reiki energy to lay hands. When you have a stomach ache, you just naturally place your hand on your stomach. Same difference. Reiki is just a terminology, again, that was founded in Japan and brought across the world. So, we had our Reiki attunement, and afterwards, I felt so in tune with myself. I had so much more clarity. And if I'm going to be honest, my being just felt totally revitalized as a whole. I had so much joy. Like, I'm smiling now thinking about it. I just had so much joy. I really need to go back and look at my journal and talk and see what I was experiencing in that moment. But I must say, while on this journey of healing and Reiki being introduced in my life, I was still suffering in some form from my job with this hospice company. I was still, having some challenging times in my career. Even though I had joy in my spiritual life, I was still experiencing some taxing in my work career life. And at the time, in 2013, so that's 2012. So in 2013, I was just worn out from on-call nursing, and I was looking to switch positions within my hospice company, and I was interviewing for different positions within. I just wasn't getting it. They was like, no, we need you to stay on call. And I'm just like, I'm having these symptoms, but all right, I'm pushing through. I'm pushing through. Well, in that year of 2013, I reached 10 years at the same company. Hey. But guess what, y'all? I received my 10th year plaque, and then in November, and then in December, child, they fired me. The gas, go ahead and gas with me. They did what? Yes, I've never been fired in my life, but I was fired off of a technicality. Let me explain. But it was also, when I look back and reflect, it was spirit. It was spirit truly moving me forward. I had to get fired to move forward. Let me explain. So my company all of a sudden was like, yeah, we need our employees to be certified in hospice and palliative care. Now listen, the people that we work with, the patients and the families that we was caring for, they did not care about any type of certification. We knew what we were doing within the hospice realm, right? But the higher ups, the organization, I'm sure it was like a money thing. They would get some more funding based off of the employees getting certified. I'm pretty sure about it. I don't know. I'm just gonna say allegedly. Nah, I like hearing that when people say allegedly. But anyway, they wanted the employees to get certified in this hospice and palliative care, right? So you had to take this test. They lost a lot of employees because, I mean, people who had been there 15, 20 years because of this test. It was truly challenging. A lot of people compared it beyond difficult, more difficult than the NCLEX. The NCLEX is what we have to take in nursing. So anyway, I took it the first time. I did not study. I did not prepare. I failed, right? And the second time I scheduled, I missed the testing date because a family member was in the hospital. And I completely forgot about canceling the testing date. So all of a sudden, I get called into the HR office. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they said, well, unfortunately, since you missed your testing date, we have to let you go. I said, excuse me? I was like, clearly it was a mistake. I didn't realize that missing the testing date was considered a fail. And like, well, it is what it is. We have to let you go. Do y'all understand? I was low key relieved because I for real was exhausted to the point like I was crying sometimes having to go to work. Just mentally it was draining me. I now realized, reflecting back, that 10 years of doing hospice care was emotionally taxing and I needed a break, and spirit gave me that break by me getting fired. And I'll never forget that it was going into the year of 2014, and we were in the week of, I got fired the week of New Year's Eve. And I remember going to New Year's Eve service at church, and my friend was so upset about the circumstances that occurred with me. She's like, oh my God, what you gonna do? I can't believe they did that to you. And I was like, honey, I have no worries. Things will be working out for me. I just know it. I just feel it. Now, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just know things were going to work out for me. And don't you know, Spirit just gave me a message. How about you start that business? What? Start a business? Yes, you love Reiki so much. You see how it's helped you over the past year? Why not help others? So I'm like, okay, yes, I will do it. I'm not going to go about trying to hurry up and find another job. Granted, I'm a nurse. I can find a job anywhere I want at any given moment. They're always needing nurses, right? But I was guided by the divine to take this break to really fill myself up. Because honestly, I was pouring so much into my patients and their family members that my tank was empty. And we all know that an empty tank cannot replenish anything or anyone. So it was time for me to fill myself up. So I did not rush to go back to work. I instead decided to establish Peace Within 111. And you want to know what the beautiful thing is? Peace Within 111 was official on January 11th, 2014. So 1/11, you get it? Spirit's so good to me. I'm just saying, divine just be blessing me in so many different ways. So anyway, I established the business, and it was immediately like, okay, now I need to find me an office. Let me find an office. So I found me an office in Centerville, and it was fully furnished. And they was like, well, do you want to sign a year lease? And I'm like, absolutely. I was just thinking about, oh, it's in Centerville. It's legit. I ended up starting to get brochures made. I started getting my business cards together. I was ready. You hear me? So the initial thing was for me to get clientele. So anybody starting new in a service industry at the time, Groupon was where it was at. So I offered a Groupon deal. Do you guys understand? My first year of business was a complete failure. Complete failure. Because I only had two people. One was one was a Groupon, and one was a family friend. Yes, you heard that correctly. Two people out the whole year. And I signed an entire lease for a year. Honey, I blew money. But my belief is there's always lessons learned. We have to fail before we succeed. It's just part of this thing called life. You feel me? So for those who are starting a new venture, do not get discouraged. If there is a calling on your life, push through no matter what. It's not going to go perfect. That'd be too easy, right? Too easy. All right, so I must admit, I was a little discouraged after not having any clientele. But within that year, I decided to go back to nursing and did home care nursing because it would give me the flexibility. If I was happen to have a client, I would be able to do it in between home visits. But you know that didn't happen. So I ended up closing out after that year and had to regroup. But during that regrouping time, I was like, okay, well, I'm just offering Reiki. What else? What else can I offer, Spirit? And I was alone on my spiritual journey, and then I received a message to attend a holistic school. I was so excited when I found a holistic school that was based out of Columbus and Cleveland. I was like, okay, I'm going to go. The school offered a variety of classes associated with holistic health, like herbalism and aromatherapy and nutrition, as well as polarity therapy and life coaching. It was just so much. I'm like, yes, these are my people. I just could not wait to be around like minded individuals because I was thirsting for that. I was thirsting to be able to exchange dialogue about the spiritual awakening that was occurring in my life so that I knew I wasn't losing it. That I for real was connecting with the universal energy. That school provided so many friendships as well as mentors that to this day I'm still in contact with and see on a routine basis. And I'm very, very grateful for that. Because I truly didn't have anyone in my life who was experiencing the spiritual phenomena that I was current in my everyday life, nor who had interest in learning more about the metaphysics. It just didn't occur at all. But I am so grateful for the divine timing of me finding that school. Because would you believe that even though it was in Cleveland, I was concerned about the weekends I had to go to Cleveland because I'm like, oh my goodness, how much is that going to cost for me to travel to and from, get in a hotel, blah, 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 blah. Do you understand that one of my friends had a colleague up in Cleveland that allowed us to stay? So she would ride to and from Cleveland with me, and then I was able to stay with her and a mutual friend on the weekends while I was doing my schooling. She was able to spend time with her friend, and I was able to go to school and come back. Oh, such a blessing. Divine timing always shows up in our lives when it is needed and when you trust and believe. Because Lord knows I would not have been able to attend the school on a routine basis if that blessing was not laid before me. Unfortunately, the school did shut down due to financial hardships within a year of me being enrolled. And honestly, I got everything I needed from it. I got exactly everything I needed from it. So, again, divine timing. So, within that, I had a couple more modalities up under my belt, and I felt encouraged. So I was like, all right, Spirit, it's time for me to find a new office. But this time, let me be specific. I want a office that is close to the downtown area, that's easy to come to from the highway and byways, but that I'll be easily reached. I truly manifested this office that I'm in now. I'll never forget when I reached out to the landlord and was like, hey, can I see this space? He was like, sure. When you want to come in? Today. So the property owner allowed me to take a tour of the space. And I was just so excited because it had a waiting room and also a treatment room all in one. And it was directly across from a bathroom. I couldn't make it up. And the price was right. And I did not have to sign a year lease. I had learned from the past, and I had talked to him about it. Like, is it okay if I go on a month to month basis? He was like, well, sure, that's fine. What? Such a blessing. Such a blessing. So I signed the lease in less than a week. I went home, thought about it. I was like, boom, it's mine. That's what I need. Let's do it. Immediately, I went out and found furniture for it and made this space my own. One of the first things that I bought for my office, though, is soon you enter the treatment room, there's some art on the wall that says, she believed she could, so she did. And it inspires me every single day when I walk into my office. Just because I had the belief that I could do what I'm doing, and I get to do it every day. Absolutely amazing. Now, I must admit, after I found this office, clientele wasn't rushing in at all. Nothing at all. But I ended up getting a job that was close to my office. Matter of fact, I went back to the job where I first became an STNA. So I returned several years later. Let's see what year. At least, yeah, it had to be 15 years later. And it was some familiar faces there, which brought comfort. But now I was in the role of a registered nurse. And it felt good. It felt good, I must say. But the great thing about the location was that if I had clientele, I could see them before or after work. And this time, I went part-time instead of full-time because I still wanted to leave room for me to be able to serve clientele if they came in. By this time, I was doing a little bit more advertising on my social media and everything. I let go of the Groupon theory and just focused on running chakra balancing specials just to teach people a little bit more about their energetic body. But then a shift was occurring as I was doing my nursing job. I kind of got discouraged. I can't lie. It probably was around the year 2018, about 2018. I was putting money, I was really working to fund my office space. I was not making enough, just keeping it real. I was not making enough money to be able to afford to keep my office space month to month. So my nursing income was funding my business. And that often happens when you are an entrepreneur. But yeah. And I was really discouraged, like, man, I'm gonna have to give out this office again. Because in the in between time from finding the second office, I was seeing people outside my house, but it was only close family and friends. And then honestly, I just didn't want people to come in and out my house because my house is my sanctuary. It brings me so much peace. And I didn't want that work environment, because I have heard people say, "Oh, you can turn your room into, you know, your treatment room and just work out of your home." And I was just like, that ain't for me. So anyway, I was going back and forth like, am I gonna have to really like close down this office again? And I honestly must say, the divine sent me a client right on time, and she enjoyed her session so much. She looked me dead in the eye and was like, keep doing what you are doing because it is valuable. And the fact that she said it is valuable, it made me feel seen. Because a lot of times when I told people what I do for, a living, or what I was doing as a business, I would get the side eye. Like, you doing what? Yeah, I help people heal with the use of vibrational sound therapy as well as laying hands on them. People like, yeah, okay. I'll never forget, my feelings was truly hurt one time when um one of my friend's parents was like, "So what, you a witch or something?" And I was like, "Whoa, a witch? You've known me majority of my life and you would come to me and ask if I was a witch or something?" Wow. And it just made me realize a lot of people just need to be more educated about who we are as human beings. Like, we are truly energetic beings. And believe it or not, vibrations is a fuel. Okay, back to the story. Yeah, I told y'all in a previous podcast I will have fleeting thoughts from time to time. It just is what it is. But I'm glad that y'all stay with me and y'all continue to return. Again, I thank you for that. So after she told me what I'm doing is valuable, it gave this spark within me that was like, all right, I'm gonna keep pushing through. But honestly, it was starting to get challenging with my nursing job because, let's say a client was experiencing pain, they would be asking for a Vicodin every hour on the hour like it was nothing to it. Like, oh, my back is hurting. I need my Vicodin. I need my Vicodin. I need my Vicodin. Okay, okay, I get it. But internally, I knew there were things that I could do holistically that would alleviate that pain. But I could not do that up under my nursing license. And I was starting to become a pill pusher in my eyes. And when I say pill pusher, I mean in like polypharmacy. So, for instance, when someone takes Vicodin, a side effect, unfortunately, is constipation. So, they would have Vicodin, and then they would need a Cinepil to assist with their constipation. And then sometimes the Cine would be so much of it that they would have diarrhea, and that would lead to another pill. You picking up what I'm saying? So it was like pill after pill after pill after pill, and it was just exhausting. I just had this internal knowing that I had had enough of this. And I remember one night, me and my mom was talking, and I just broke down in tears. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And she asked, what? And I said, nursing. And she said, I'll do anything I can to help you. And honestly, that was just the encouragement I needed to officially leave nursing behind in 2019 and pursue my business full time. And child, talk about divine timing with that. Because within a couple months, the pandemic hit. And I know, me being who I am, being intuitive, being empathic, dealing with that turmoil of the unknown and the fear that people were experiencing and anxiety that people were experiencing, it would have wore me out completely. So I'm grateful that I listened to the whisper that I needed to get out of nursing. And honestly, the faith that I had of it just working out no matter what truly allowed me to grow, evolve, and ascend. It gave me more time to hone my craft. I must admit, my spiritual gifts began to enhance more because I was focused purely on the growth of Peace Within 111. And within that, it led me to start speaking at local conferences and workshops. And I even began doing more life coaching. I'm laughing, I'm giggling now and I started doing tarot and oracle readings, which I'm laughing about because I remember, me and Spirit, we talk all day. And I got the message like, yeah, you need to go on Facebook Live and pull some cards for people. They need some messages. They discouraged during this pandemic. This was in 2020. And I was like, what? People already think I'm weird and different by doing the work that I do. Now you want me to be pulling out cards? You know that people be thinking it's the devil and it's some witchcraft or something to it. And Spirit was like, just do what I say. And sure enough, I went ahead and did it and gave messages to people. Just pulling a card, messages from the guides. And immediately people were like, oh my God, you offer this as a service? And I was like, no, but I can. And boom, it became another service that I offered. But since then, I've had the pleasure of hosting my own moon gatherings and retreats and workshops, as well as teaching others Reiki. It has been a beautiful journey, and I hope more than anything that me telling you the beginnings of my journey will give you some inspiration, because I'm sharing with you the peaks and the valleys, the highs and the lows. But more than anything, it has brought me joy, and it's also allowed me to be on this journey of sharing with you. I look forward to see where Spirit's going to guide this podcast. Well, let me leave you with this. Whenever you may feel discouraged, but you know there's a calling on your life, push through. Just like me getting fired pushed me forward, I want to encourage you to move forward no matter what. Your calling is specifically for you. Everybody does not have your vision. They're not meant to have your vision. We are all individuals. We are all meant to live our own true, destined life path. So follow suit. Trust and believe and move forward. All right. I'm out. Until next time, y'all. All right.